This video is made for entertainment and educational purposes only. All photographs that are modern in nature are to help describe our story in the video. The photographs are used under the Fair Use Clause of the 1976 Copyright Act. Flying dragons. The Snallygaster, being the United States version, have long been in the world's different cultures, ranging from China to Europe and even in South America. This is North America's flying dragon, the Snallygaster, once known to roam in the wooded area of central Maryland to Washington, D.C. The Snallygaster is said to live in the caves of Sugarloaf Mountain and sometimes to live in other areas such as the forests of South America. Come with us as we discover the dragon of the Americas. Possible origins and descriptions. Described as a bird-reptile chimera, the cryptid creature is thought to be a myth handed down through German immigrants that landed in the United States in 1730. At first, the creature was called a Schnellergeist, meaning quick ghost in German. The creature was thought to have been from Liberia or perhaps the West Indies. It traveled across the ocean for the lure of the snoozeberries to make itself a new nesting place relatively undisturbed. The earliest descriptions of the cryptid describe it as having bird-like features and half ghoulish features, sort of like a siren mixed with a demon. Some descriptions of the animal talk about it having long pointed metallic-like bills that was lined with razor-sharp teeth beaked that occasionally had octopus-like tentacles that came out of its mouth to grab its victims easier. And like the monster squid, the creature could change its color like a chameleon. It is also described as having claws like steel hooks and the eye in the center of its forehead and enormous wings. The Snallygaster is thought to have 2 large feathered wings, a large horny head, and 20 to 30 foot long tail. The animal was said to make screeching sounds like a locomotive whistle. The Snallygaster is thought to swoop down and silently grab its victims and carry them off to drain their blood. The enemies of the Snallygaster and the 7-pointed star. One of the mortal enemies of the Snallygaster is the Dwayyo, known as the werewolf of the mountains or Snarly Owl. These creatures have been in many epic battles over the years that began with the early settlement of the Middletown Valley. The other known enemy of the Snallygaster is the Chilean blue eagle. Evidently, the Snallygaster and the blue eagle got into an air combat against each other that was seen and heard in the Sugarloaf Mountain foothills and surrounding areas. Details about this battle will be later in this video. The 7-pointed star can be seen painted on many barns around the region in order to scare away the large creature. Even to this day, the tradition of having stars painted on barns has been passed down through the generations. Panic in 1909. Newspapers ran wild in February through March of 1909. With stories of locals meeting against the Snallygaster in the woods of Maryland. Early in the issues, it seems that the Snallygaster was seen and heard everywhere at once. In the same year, in New Jersey, footprints in the snow made by the Snallygaster were discovered. Near Scrabble, West Virginia, the Snallygaster was close to snatching a woman but missed its chance. Near Sharpsburg, it was thought that the Snallygaster had laid an egg, and it was the size of a barrel in a farmer's barn. A man in Casstown, Ohio, reported a strange creature that flew over his area and made a terrible screeching noises. These reports escalated when February 1909, the article proclaimed that the man had been snatched by a giant Snallygaster, that the creature had drained the man of his blood from his jugular, and dropped his body against a hillside. Near Cumberland, Maryland, a man who operated a brick-burning kiln saw a sleeping Snallygaster. When it awoke, it let out a large scream and flew away. In Hagerstown, which is south of Middleton, the Snallygaster was once again seen flying high over Lover's Leap after laying another large egg between Gapland and Burkittsville. The last reported sighting by a newspaper occurred in March 1909. 3 men fought against the Snallygaster outside of a railroad station for an hour and a half. They managed to defeat the animal and it ran into the woods of Carroll County. Rewards offered and the truth. This was disturbing the community so much that the Smithsonian Institute offered a reward to anyone who could bring in the hide of the beast. U.S. President Theodore Roosevelt was so convinced that the creature existed that he considered postponing his African safari trip that year to personally hunt the Snallygaster. However, all of this was for nothing, as it was revealed that Middletown, Maryland's Valley Register editor, George C. Roderick, and reporter Ralph S. Wolfe had perpetrated a hoax on everyone because their readership had fallen and they were trying to rouse business for the respective papers. They used old folklore of animals and parts of the legend of the Jersey Devil to use as a backdrop for the hoax. 23 years later, 1932. 23 years later, the Middletown Valley Register requested any information concerning any sightings of the Snallygaster to be reported for scientific purposes. This would have placed these ads in the newspaper in 1932. In the following months, the first of several reports were printed. According to the Montgomery County Sentinel of December 2, 1932, the first reported sightings started happening around Sugarloaf foothills. The Snallygaster seems to have developed a taste for tardy residents of the area. It is not explained how the Snallygaster learned that one of its mortal enemies, the famous blue eagle, was in the area. However, according to the article in the Montgomery County Sentinel, the two creatures went to battle. Residents of Dickerson area and hundreds of motorists stopped to watch the aerial display in the sky. The blue eagle made several swoops. The blue eagle then defeated the Snallygaster when it rammed its body and feathers flew and rained down all over Paris, Maryland. The Snallygaster let out a huge shriek of pain as, bloodied and exhausted, it left in the direction of Brazil. It was reported that it was seen passing over Havana and heading toward the jungles of South America. It was believed that it would not return until the next glacier age. 1 year later, 1933. The next sighting of the Snallygaster comes to us from Montgomery County Sentinel on August 17, 1933. The cryptid had been spotted by at least 40 residents of Washington, Frederick, and Upper Montgomery County within a 2-week span. The creature was usually flying low overhead in the Catoctin Range near Braddock Heights in Frederick County. It seems, according to the newspaper, the war between Paraguay and Bolivia had disturbed its lair in the jungle. Or possibly an unknown egg of the cryptid was not found in time and hatched. However, on Sunday before the 17th of August of 1933, the creature had been spotted in the sky flying at 60 miles per minute by 10 well-armed men. One man carried a bag of snoozeberry seeds that was supposed to be a powerful lure for the beast. 10 hunters had seen the creature in its den. The time listed is very specific. It reads, quote, 11 minutes and 11 seconds after 11 on Sunday morning, unquote. The report was that the creature was snoring in its cave on top of Sugarloaf Mountain. Wisdom ruled the day as they retreated from the lair, as the creature was too far back in the cave to safely dispatch it. On their way through the towns, they warned the residents of the dangers that lurked above them. According to the Montgomery County Sentinel, the current creature was thought by scientists of the day to be hatched from the eggs of the creature that was in the area in 1909. It is thought that the reason that the creature was lured into the area was from the smell of the snoozeberries, which were only found in the foothills of the Blue Ridge area. Snallygaster killed by Edward Lewis. According to the Worcester Democrat and the Ledger Enterprise on July 27, 1934, a man shot and killed a giant bird believed to be the snallygaster. Edward Lewis, who was a resident of Pleasant Walk, a residential area of Middletown Valley, relates the following story. Lewis had noticed that he had started missing chickens from his flock for some time. He kept watching for the chicken thief. When Lewis shot the bird, it was badly wounded, and it made an attempt to attack one of his children. He made a second shot to kill the beast so that it could not kill his child. Even though the eggs of the creature take 20 to 25 years to hatch, it was believed that the unusual heat of 1934 had caused the eggs to prematurely mature. It was believed that the bird in question was a young snallygaster. The creature measured 4.5 feet tall and had a bill of 4 inches in length. It also had a wingspan of 6 feet from tip to tip. The unusual bird also had speckled feathers. While the bird's true identity is unknown, the residents of the time believed it was the snallygaster. Conclusion. We have always left it up to our readers to make up their own minds whether or not a story is fact or fiction. But we do have a few questions for our readers and our listeners to consider. Are these people really seeing something in the Appalachian mountain woods? Or could the myth of the snallygaster be a made-up story by a couple of journalists trying to sell more papers? Or did the newspaper journalists feel that they had to tell that they made up the story to save the reputation of President Theodore Roosevelt? We cannot say if cryptids exist or not. We can only say that others believe that they have seen, heard, or encountered these creatures. However, it is a legend that our Appalachian people hold dear, and who are we to say that they are wrong or right? But telling creepy and scary stories is a huge part of our culture. We at Kentucky Tennessee Living want to thank you for watching and reading our articles. Don't forget to hit that like button, as the more likes we receive, the more likely YouTube is to suggest our videos to other viewers. Also, to receive notice when we upload a new video, be sure to subscribe and click the bell for notifications. We thank you for continuing to support Kentucky Tennessee Living as we bring to you the history of the Appalachian Mountains.